What's up, y'all? It is Cabby, one half of the Kristen Cab team right here in Houston, Texas. So we've been getting a lot of calls, a lot of texts, a lot of DMs about this NAR lawsuit that's just been settled. So wanted to jump into this video and talk about what it all means, what's going on, and what are some future implications going forward. So first, let's just kind of talk about what is going on. So Sitzer Burnett is a class action lawsuit that was filed in Missouri. And basically, the National Association of Realtors, or we'll call it NAR for short, along with some big companies in real estate, such as Keller Williams, Remax, Berkshire Hathaway, as well as others, all these companies and entities got named as defendants in this lawsuit. And one of the main allegations in this lawsuit was that the real estate industry as a whole was working together and colluding essentially to keep commissions high. Now, one of the big problems I have with the headlines and the stories that's going on in the media right now is that you'll see the headlines say the 6% standard commission is going away. And the thing is, the commission was always negotiable. In fact, there are several companies out there whose whole business model is predicated on discount commissions. Redfin, for example, offers a 1% list side commission or a 4% total commission, right? So 1% on the list side and 3% on the buyer side. There are a whole host of flat fee brokers out there that allow you to list your homes on the MLS for a flat fee of a few $100s. Now, that's all their services, right? They just put it up on the MLS, whereas a full service agent will do things like put the sign out, manage showings, negotiate on your behalf, so on and so forth. But the point is, commissions were always negotiable. Okay, so now that we've established that, and before we talk more about the lawsuit, let's talk about how agent compensation and agent commissions have historically worked. So before I jump into this, let me clarify that you'll hear me use the term listing agent, and just know when I say listing agent, that refers to the seller's agent. The reason why I'm not going to say the seller's agent is that in the MLS, the buyer's agent is actually called the sell agent. So it's kind of confusing and I'm kind of digressing. So just know that when I say the listing agent, I'm referring to the seller's agent. Okay, so how have commissions historically worked? So technically, the full commission gets paid to the listing agent. Now, this commission is determined and negotiated in the listing agreement that the listing agent has with the seller. Now, when a seller and a buyer agree to a purchase agreement and a sales contract is executed, there is a completely separate agreement between the listing agent and the buyer's agent as to how much of that commission is going to be shared. Commonly, it was 3% or half of the total commission. But again, technically, this too was a completely negotiable figure. Now that we know how commission has historically worked, let's talk about what's changing. So currently within the MLS, us agents can see how much buyer agent compensation is being offered. So yeah, typically we'll see, 2.5, 3% buyer agent commission. So this is going away and we will no longer be posting how much buyer agent compensation is being offered. The second change is that MLS participants are now required to have a written buyer representation agreement whenever they're working with buyers. But this is something that we've been doing this entire time. Okay, had to jump in and add some additional clarification and context and nuance after I filmed the original video. So yes, getting a buyer representation agreement is something that we have always done. However, the change is that now a buyer agent must get that representation agreement signed before we even show that first home. Okay, so now let's jump back to the video. So these changes go into effect in July. So now let's talk about what are the possible implications. I mean, right now there's a lot of talking head speculation as to what's going to happen, but truthfully, that's exactly what it is, just speculation. The truth is nobody really knows how this is all gonna play out because it's all new, and I can actually see a number of different things happening. So for one, because buyer agent compensation is no longer being put in the MLS, I can now see some sellers not wanting to offer a buyer agent compensation, right? I can see some other sellers who are maybe more motivated or more willing to be competitive, still wanting to offer a buyer agent compensation to attract more buyers. Now, I've already heard some builders that are still planning to offer a buyer agent compensation. They're thinking this will help them stay more competitive and attract more buyers to their product. Now, if this is true and this is the case, there may be some individual home sellers that find themselves having difficulty competing with these new construction builders, right? And then they may end up offering a buyer agent compensation once again to be more competitive. Now, I do foresee a possibility in which buyers will be responsible for paying their buyer agents. I don't think that's going to be a set guarantee, especially if there are going to be sellers and builders that are offering a buyer agent compensation. Nevertheless, I do believe it is a possibility. So I believe buyer agents will need to start thinking about different fee structures if a buyer is unable or unwilling to pay a 3% commission on top of the sales price. Personally, I think the only thing for certain is that it's gonna be the Wild West for a while sellers, home buyers, and agents kind of try different things and different arrangements before we see what works, right? I think it's gonna take some time and some trial and error, but over time we'll start to see patterns and start to see which arrangements work best for all parties.